We're here to present AIR, Aviation Incident Reporting. Our team name is Flight Club, and we're excited to do this second presentation. So, project roles, I'm John, I'm the team lead.
I'm Marquise, the quality assurance lead.
I'm Ben Molyneux-Elliott, the documentation lead.
I'm Trent McFarland, I'm the UI lead.
I'm Patrick Murphy, I'm the design lead.
And I'm Jasper Sard, I'm the database lead.
And our advisor is Dr. Anvik, and our client who's with us in the back, Patrick Devney. He's been a great help. Super awesome. So what we're going to cover today, basically a project overview to refresh your memory on what this is about. Talk about project requirements, any changes there. Give you a high-level design of what we had before and what we have now. A quick progress update. A sweet demonstration of our beta right now. And we'll go into more details about the database and PHP design with some features that we're going to be implementing in the future, then finish it off with quality assurance and risks. I'll hand it over to project background first. So basically in a nutshell, this is an online non-punitive incident reporting system. There's basically going to be 3 user groups that are interacting with the system. Students in the aviation department, as well as operators at Bowers Field, will interact with the system on a submission basis, to where if they encounter a hazard or an incident occurs, they'll log on to the system to submit a report. Then you have 2 other user groups, the administrators and the Event Review Committee, which we'll refer to as ERC. They'll basically manage the process of responding to those reports after they've been submitted, whether mitigation needs to happen, further training, or etc. The Event Review Committee is special because they get to see these reports anonymously from, so no names or contact information is associated from their point of view, so it can be non-biased, non-punitive review there. Basically, the client's goal is to create a culture of safety within the department and at Bowers Field. So, pass it off to Jazz.
Okay, so as far as our functional requirements are concerned, we've made some significant progress. For example, our login page is fully functional, both on the front end and on the back end. It authenticates the user and is working as expected. Submitting a report is fully functional. Users can log in the system, they can submit a report. That works just fine. It updates with the database. As well as when the user is done submitting a report, they get a confirmation so that they know that the report was submitted successfully. On the admin and ERC side of things, their UI and database interactions are complete for the most part. Admin and ERC can view the reports, they can view all information on the reports, they can open up any individual report and see all the details associated with that. They can also update any reports. And the ERC functionality is working in that they can view the reports anonymously so that they can't see who submitted the report. And finally, the ERC and admins are able to archive reports once they are done reviewing it and have made their recommendations for any necessary action. Work that we have yet to complete is encrypting the credentials for login for security. And we have the admin report review UI side of things done so that admins can fill out any sort of information or recommendations that they think is necessary on the report. However, it's still have to write the PHP to update the database on that, so we still need to finish the back end on that. And we need to finish the ability for admin and ERC to filter reports so that they can only view reports that are relevant to certain situations and not every single report that has been submitted. On the non-functional requirement side of things, we're pretty much done, or at least everything's currently working as we speak. Our UI is browser independent. Our UI is fully functional and intuitive and easy to use. And our login and database interactions are all working sufficiently efficient at this time. On the database side of things, our database is fully functional. It's up and running. We have 4 tables currently to store all our information. 2 of the tables are used for user accounts, Every admin and ERC member will have their own account, their own username and password, as well as they will have their own permission level, because a general user, an admin, and an ERC member all can view different information. And that permission level is stored in the user group table. Our other two tables are used for storing the information regarding incidents. Our incidents table stores every piece of information that's surrounding an incident. This is all filled out on an incident report. And our incident review table stores any information entered by the admin or ERC as far as the necessary action to take regarding any incidents that have occurred. And now Trent's going to talk about our high-level design.
Hey guys, so last we met, we talked about our high-level design. I'm just going to quickly go over that. So we had to get some server space up, which we did right away. We got our web UI going, and then we were implementing our PHP scripts for specific actions that were going to interact with our database. So this was our design before, and all we did is remove this and throw in our two new classes here. We added an API class, which is going to have all our main functionality. So essentially our web UI does anything UI related, and then our API is going to hold all of our functions for actually interacting. And then the API is actually going to call our MySQL class, which will be used to interact with the database. So we have pretty abstract structure here, so we can pinpoint any errors. And moving on from that, this is just, you're going to see this later, but this is our dashboard view for the admin. And pretty much I'm going to be talking about how we're pulling this information right here in the middle. So essentially, we have a dashboard PHP, which authenticates every time you come to any page that's involved with it. So if you're not an admin, you will not be on this page. The next thing is we have our API class, like I said, and it has a function get list reports where you're going to have filters you can put in. Those are going to be our search parameters later on. And that function is going to call our MySQL class, which will have a function for actually selecting from our database tables. And then that will just interact with our database. And so that's how we're going to get that information there. And then real quick, going over the storyboard, which we've kind of already talked about, but start out as a landing page as the main login, which you'll see in our demonstration. From there you can go to the admin login. Or if you want to, you can just submit a report by typing in the password that's going to be given to you through the aviation department. And then after you submit a report, you'll get a confirmation page down there at the bottom. And then if you were to go to admin login, you would end up at a dashboard. And then from there you can view each report. And then there's a number of functions in between there. Mind you, we're validating data and authenticating the user for every page below the login.
Alright, so our progress so far. We worked with our client at the beginning of the quarter to decide how to host the website, and we chose to do it third party because it just works better for us rather than going through the university. So we're going to be using HostGator to host it, and we've already chosen a domain name of cwuair.com. And so besides that, we've also completed a fully functional beta, which we have delivered to our client and received positive feedback on. And our beta includes the report submission, the admin dashboard, the admin report viewing, and the updating report status. And all of those pages are now interacting with our SQL database. And how do we get here? These are our burn-down charts for Sprint 1 and Sprint 2. Sprint 1, which finished on the January 28th, was just our web UI. And then Sprint 2, which we're actually finishing officially tomorrow, is our back-end functionality. And here's our demo.
All right. So, as Trent described earlier, this is the landing page that all users first come to. From here, the user can log in, and if you don't submit the right password, we have error handling. If you do submit the right password, it brings you to this report form. Quickly, I'll report so we can track it through the system. We have some UI enhancements that allow users to quickly select time. I would fill out the rest of the form, but for now I'm just going to hit submit. This is our confirmation page, which returns a tracking number, so the person submitting the form can later talk to the aviation department and see what might have happened. This is our admin login. This is our admin dashboard that we showed you earlier. Here you can see some sample reports that were submitted, along with the one I just submitted right here. You can see a couple different statuses that are associated with each report, which helps the admin and ERC committee track the reports and their current functions that need to happen with them. You can click on the one we just submitted here and see the personal data that I submitted at the top. Because this is an admin view, you can see this, but the ERC would not be able to see this. You can change the report to open. If you go back, you'll see it's now down here. You'll see the tracking number is right here so that the aviation department can easily find these. You can also delete the report, edit report. This here is the review section we were talking about earlier that is just UI, and currently the PHP is not functioning to save this data, but that's the thing we're going to be working on our next sprint. You can also see here we have a drop-down menu that brings the user to the archived reports. These are closed reports, which should no longer be used by the aviation department unless they need to go back for the records. I'll log out and have Trent quickly show you how the ERC section differs.
All right, so I'm an ERC member in the aviation department and meeting with the admin, and we're just going to go over some reports. So when we get there, as you can see here, there's no pertinent information on the dashboard. It's pretty much the same, but I'm only able to view those ERC reports. And if I were to go to one of those, pretty much all the information is there except for that client information, so everything is completely and utterly anonymous. Alright. So some features that we are working on that are not implemented yet, that are coming in our next sprints, are the trends of incoming reports. So now that we have everything functioning as far as the UI goes, there's going to be a view trends where you can actually see the trends of incoming reports, problems that it's reporting. For example, a lot of reports have the keyword like landing gear in there. Then the aviation department is going to say maybe we should look into our landing gear, something's going wrong. And the next thing is job prioritization. So based on the keywords and things that are going to be coming into the database, we're going to prioritize those list of reports that you saw. So the more important ones, like plane crash, is going to be at the very top. The next thing is predictive alerting. So we're going to try and get some sort of algorithm that's going to be able to predict problems in the future. This is obviously going to be a learning algorithm that's going to have to develop over time, but it's going to be hopefully something that later on will be very useful in predicting potential hazards. And then as well as mobile compatibility, we weren't really focused on that, but when we tried it on tablets and phones, it actually works perfectly, so awesome there. I'm going to hand it over to Marquise for our project risks.
So one of our biggest risks that we came into and overcame was database hosting, which we pretty much overcame by purchasing a hosting site immediately. Some other common risks were like insufficient time to implement features, which we used the strategy of pretty much designing our system with minimal dependencies, and then also like team member availability, which we actually use Trello for development management. And then some quality assurance strategies we plan to use or have been using is functional testing for our web UI, which basically just going through, make sure all checkboxes, drop-down boxes work, and exception handling, so like login error exception or handling, and invalid data submission in reports. And also we will be database stress testing, we use MySQL SLAP, which basically we use to benchmark and compare performance of our database when we overload it with a large amount of users and/or reports. And as Ben said earlier, we launched successful database to our client, Patrick, and he gave us positive feedback about it. And he's been finished up.
All right, so as you've seen, we do have a working beta, and it's pretty sweet. And our back end is complete for it. So our next steps are to start Sprint 3 here in the next couple days, which will be finishing up the remaining requirements like filters and trends and that kind of thing. And then Sprint 4 will be our final sprint, and that's finishing up features that aren't necessarily required. Any questions?
What do you like?
Can you elaborate on how you're testing browser independence? You said it's fine to use, talk about how you're doing it.
Yeah, we've been bringing up the site in multiple different browsers, but also web browsers like Chrome provide development tools which allow us to resize the window and see how things react and apply additional CSS for different views.
Is there a question? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to build a native app out of that, or just going to do it like that?
It's just going to be web only.
Web-based?
Yeah.
So I guess we need something like Angular in the future, something like that, to make it more like...
Not in the scope of this project, but it can definitely be done. A client-side application can be developed to communicate to our database the same exact way. But for the scope of this project, that's not going to reach.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.